leaving Glencorse Wood, the scene of where my great uncle Len was wounded in 1917, I made my way towards Ypres along the Menin Road. This section of the road was in British hands for most of the war and used to transport troops and supplies between Ypres and the front line. Here we can see Hessian screens put in place to make the traffic less visible to the Germans, as it was within easy range of their guns and anything moving along the road had to run the gauntlet of shellfire. And as such, it became notorious as one of the most dangerous spots on the Western Front and earned its nickname of Hellfire Corner.
Thank you. So Belgium's very accommodating to cyclists, I must say. Every road has got a cycle path running alongside.
In the Middle Ages, Ypres made its name in the cloth weaving industry. It became prosperous and grew to become the third largest city in the Dutch-speaking region of Flanders. Many fine buildings were established in the Gothic style, including one of the largest commercial buildings in the Middle Ages, known as the Cloth Hall, which was built in the 13th century. Throughout its rich history, Ypres was no stranger to conflict. It had been fortified to keep out invaders, however it was to suffer its biggest test when Germany invaded neutral Belgium on the 4th of August 1914. It was a bold move to enter and quickly defeat France before turning east to attack its ally, Russia. So, by invading Belgium, Britain declared war on Germany and immediately sent its forces to join the already mobilised French army. The German army had captured almost all of Belgium, continued towards Paris, but were met, held and pushed back by the British and French army at the Battle of the Marne. All movement slowed and both sides began to dig in. And by November of 1914, a continuous line of trenches 400 miles long had been dug between the North Sea and the Swiss border. Holding Ypres was crucial to the Allies as it protected the Channel ports at Calais and Boulogne, the closest sea links to Britain. Ypres, being exposed in a bulge or a salient in the front line, suffered massive devastation from the German guns for the next 4 years. And the salient was to become the scene of some of the bloodiest battles of the entire war, including the first, second and third battles of Ypres. In all, during the 4 years of war, the losses were staggering in the Ypres salient, with some 300,000 British and Commonwealth soldiers being killed, of which 90,000 were lost with no known grave. Many of the soldiers would have passed through Ypres, this gateway exit to the east, known as the Menin Gate. And after the war, with so many men lost, it was felt to be a fitting place for a memorial to the missing.
Okay, well, I'm here in Ypres and just making my way over to the Menin Gate. Looking forward to hearing the last post. Something that I've always fancied doing but never really had the chance up till now. So yeah, I'm going to get myself there nice and early, front row seat, and I'll record the whole thing hopefully. Well, this is the Menin Gate and unfortunately I'm not going to see it in its finest glory because it's undergoing quite extensive restoration. But I understand the ceremony is still going to be played, but I'm not exactly sure where that's going to be. So let's ask a few questions.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not bury them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Wow. It's hard to describe that one. That's a really emotional ceremony, you know. You know, this is something I wanted to do for quite a few years, and to be here now, to see that, you know, last post ceremony for myself, it's the highlight of this trip for sure, no question. Anyway, so I'm a bit speechless actually, if I'm totally honest. I'm going to be back on the road tomorrow. We're going to visit such places as Tyne Cot, Ashendale, and so on, and visit the places my own family fought in. So for now, I'm just going to have a little bit of a walk around Ypres, enjoy the evening, have a few cold ones no doubt.
Ypres is a lovely place to visit, with good bars, restaurants and places to stay. It makes for an ideal base for any trip to the battlefields nearby. So with another day done, I headed back to my own base, and after a quick meal I turned in and reflected on the last post ceremony. It was a powerful and deeply moving experience, and one which I cannot recommend highly enough to complete any visit to the Western Front.
Well, good morning to a not so sunny Flanders. Yeah, it's been pouring down all morning, so I'm going to revise my plans and head into Ypres now to check out the museums and whatnot, and then hopefully this rain will ease this afternoon and I can nip out on the bike then. So anyway, that's the plan. Oh, look at this. We're walking underneath the ramparts now into Ypres town itself.
After the war, it was suggested by Winston Churchill, then Secretary of State for War, to keep Ypres in ruins as a memorial. But the Belgians decided to rebuild the city as it once stood, with the Cloth Hall in particular to symbolise its recovery and rebirth. The Cloth Hall now houses the In Flanders Fields Museum.
Right, let's go up the stairs, eh? Flanders Fields Museum.
Alongside the artefacts and displays of items, this museum focuses on the human experience of war, particularly the personal stories of civilians and refugees in Flanders. Their stories are brought to life using real actors and video projections. This was a war where not just soldiers died. It is thought that around 10,000 Belgian civilians were killed when Germany invaded in August of 1914. Villages and property were destroyed and civilians were executed, and many tens of thousands more died during the occupation over the following 5 years. This dark period was called the Rape of Belgium, and British posters highlighted the German atrocities to encourage support and recruitment.
Amazing. I didn't realise I'd spent nearly 2 hours in there. There was so much to see. All the displays had kind of like audio link up to your language of choice, and they had like little cinema projections of characters playing the parts of people affected by the war, telling their stories. It's just amazing. Really, really, really good. 10 out of 10, no doubt about it. What isn't 10 out of 10 is the weather, because it's still raining. So I'm really keeping them crossed that I can get out this evening. If not, I'm going to have to try and hope that tomorrow's going to be a better day. But yeah, let's see. I've got to show you this. I've stopped in a bar for some food, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to eat what the locals eat. Flemish stew, yeah? A little bowl of chips. Flemish stew, which apparently is beef and onion, but cooked in beer, and a beautiful little salad too. Oh, and minus Stella. No, half a pint of Stella. Looks good, doesn't it? Better than cold sandwiches, which I had for later.
Right, I've just noticed I'm being swarmed on by ants again. So I think I've sussed out that they're getting in. Either end of the tent, I've got one of these kind of like mozzie nets. But of course, I've got to have it a little bit open to let the charging cable in, so I can charge with bits and pieces. I think what they're doing is getting in through that hole there, so I've got a strategy here. So I'm going to jam a bit of paper in there, and then I've got my secret weapon, a bit of chemical warfare. Let's see, have some of that. Soak that on there, and keep the sods away. I did the other end and I managed to spray this on a little area where ants were milling around, and they just drop straight off. They don't like it. It's now 5:30 and it might be letting up slightly, I don't know, but I'll have to scrap tonight if it doesn't stop anytime soon. Right, it's just stopped. The rain has just stopped. It's just gone 6 o'clock, so I'm going to make a dash for it. Oh, it's going mad in that tent. Oh, it's good to get out on the bike again. I think your body gets used to a certain exercise, and to be deprived even for a day, I could feel it. Heading for Tyne Cot Cemetery. Should be there within half hour. Just have to watch out for these ditches, eh? Probably a trench left over from the war. So just putting the destination on the Garmin. I really don't know where it's going to take me. I mean, these little lanes are fine, but if it's going to take me up some small muddy lane, obviously this is a touring road bike, and if it's going to be anything remotely off-road, I'm going to struggle really. So where are we going now? Down here? Okay. Looks like I'm doing a tour of all the farms in the area here. Here we are, Tyne Cot. Tyne Cot is about 5 miles east from Ypres and lies in the salient where heavy fighting took place almost continuously throughout the war. Up until 1917, this area, which lies on a ridge just outside Passchendaele, was the site of a German stronghold. They'd built a formidable defence system with concrete bunkers and pillboxes. But it was during the Third Battle of Ypres or Passchendaele on the 4th of October 1917 that this area was finally captured by the Australian 3rd Division. One of the men involved that day was Sergeant Lewis McGee. He led a platoon forward, but the advance was stopped by machine gun fire from a German pillbox. So, single-handedly, Sergeant McGee rushed the pillbox armed only with a revolver, shooting the enemy within and capturing the post, allowing the attack to continue. For his bravery, he was awarded the Victoria Cross, Britain's highest military decoration for gallantry. And just 8 days later, Sergeant McGee was back in action on the German-held Frezenberg Ridge. Leading his men forward, a German machine gun post opened fire. Once again, in an attempt to silence the gun, Sergeant McGee rushed forward, but as he neared, he was struck by a bullet to the head and killed instantly. Sadly, he was to never see the announcement of his Victoria Cross. This former rail worker from Tasmania was by all accounts a gifted soldier and a natural leader. Sergeant Lewis McGee now rests here at Tyne Cot Cemetery within sight of where he won his Victoria Cross. But his story isn't the only one of extreme gallantry. There are in fact 5 other VC winners buried or commemorated here at Tyne Cot Cemetery. One of the bunkers that was captured on the 4th of October was unusually large, and so it was used by the Allies as a first aid dressing station. And alongside this, burials took place to create a small cemetery with several hundred graves. These we can see are the irregular rows of headstones that have been left in their original position. After the armistice, the once small Tyne Cot Cemetery was expanded to become a concentration cemetery where remains from nearby sites were brought in from the surrounding battlefields. In 1922, King George V toured the newly established cemeteries along the Western Front. He visited the former battlefields at Passchendaele, and at Tyne Cot he noted the still intact German bunkers close by. This photo shows the King exploring the large bunker that was captured and used as a first aid dressing station. And it was at his suggestion that the bunker was incorporated into the centrepiece of the cemetery, with the addition of the cross of sacrifice that we see today. Around the boundary of the cemetery stands the Tyne Cot Memorial, which commemorates 35,000 British and New Zealand servicemen who died between 1917 and 1918 with no known grave. To put the enormous loss of life into perspective, this huge cemetery still only represents around 1.3% of all British and Commonwealth soldiers lost in the Great War.
Beep beep, beep beep. Woo, 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 woo. Do you know, I think the UK's got a lot to learn from Belgium with its cycling infrastructure, you know. We really are not a cycle friendly nation. I mean, I'm a member of the Cycle UK, and I think they do push for better conditions for cyclists, cyclist rights, and kind of promote the cause and all of that, but more needs to be done, really. So much more needs to be done. Just stopped by this little memorial, which is on the corner of a little turn that I'm taking. Do you know, these information boards are fantastic, aren't they? Frezenberg.
It tells of a heroic stand that took place on this very spot by some of the first Canadians involved in the war, specifically the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry. During the Second Battle of Ypres, they were here in the front line as part of the British 27th Division and faced relentless enemy assaults and artillery on the 8th of May 1915. Much of the line gave way, but the Canadians bravely stood their ground and checked the German advance, and from an original complement of 1,000, just 154 men and officers were left at the end of the day. And this memorial is dedicated to the regiment and marks the spot where they made their stand. My journey along the Western Front was planned around key sites and memorials that I particularly wanted to see, but so much more was discovered by chance, cycling along the back roads and lanes. It's a great way to discover the unexpected and learn so much more, such as the story of these brave Canadians here at Frezenberg Ridge. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to check out part 8 for my final day cycling on the Western Front.